But thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sarah LaFay. I'm the Director of Marketing at IQ. Um, Thank you again for joining us for this webinar, Unveiling the Power of Perfectly Clear's new AI technology. This is a really big image quality release, so I'm glad that you are all here to join us. I'll just start with some general housekeeping information. Like I said before, the webinar will be recorded. So if you need to drop off at any time, you'll be receiving the recording most likely tomorrow, just by the time we get it up on the website and get it all sent out. Also notice the chat feature, which now that thanks to Rob, we've gotten it turned on for everyone. Please feel free to use the chat as much as you would like. Again, you can either send it to everyone or you can send it to just specific hosts and panelists. So if you want your message to reach everyone, just make sure that it's set up correctly. And lastly, there's also the Q&A feature. So you should see that on the Zoom webinar setup. I will be answering any questions at the end of the webinar. So if you have a question as I'm talking through anything, you can just put them there and then I will move to that at the end. So I think that is all from the housekeeping side of things. So we can officially begin this webinar. So here's what we are going to go over today. Here's what you can expect. So I'm going to do just a quick intro about IQ, perfectly clear, who we are and what we do, since I do see some new faces on the attendance list. And then we're going to dive into all the new different aspects of this release. So first, we'll talk about our new AI skin tone accuracy. Then we'll go over the new school and sports AI preset model. We'll talk about AI white balance, Autocrop update, and then lastly, we'll get to all of the questions at the end. So now we can really get into it. I'll just give a brief intro about who we are and what we do. So for those of you that don't know, we are IQ. We're the creators of Perfectly Clear technology. This technology is currently editing more than 140 million images every single day. But we don't just offer automatic image correction. We have an entire imaging suite that's created to make your life easier and make your customers happier. So we have things like AI image upscaling to make small images larger by adding pixels. And then we also offer technology tools like auto cropping that's perfect for the portrait industry. I'll be touching more on this towards the end of the webinar. And then lastly, we have all of the components of our automatic image correction. So this is really the bread and butter of our business, and we'll be discussing updates to our core image correction today. What makes Perfectly Clear so unique and powerful? Well, we're unique because we've spent more than 20 years creating this amazing technology, and we've combined the best of our real science technology with artificial intelligence to accomplish the most challenging imaging problems. And there are mainly 4 parts to this. So we start by reading all of the contents of the image, categorizing it with our AI preset selection, and then also honing in on what corrections need to be made. Then we have 2 sets of corrections. Our classic, which is the technology that everyone knew and loved for 20 years before we added this other layer of AI to accomplish what we couldn't in the past. We also are adding things like AI skin tone accuracy and things like that, just to make our core image correction more powerful. And now it's time to talk about the major aspects of this release. So I do want to start with AI skin tone accuracy. This is one of the largest parts of this release, just because it affects so many different market verticals, so many of our current customers, so many people that we've talked to in the past. Accurately representing skin tones is something that is really important to us. Cameras are notorious for picking up infrared on faces, especially on those darker skin tones. And oftentimes, too, pale skin looks green or gray. So this new version of AI skin tone accuracy was years in the making. we are really trying to ensure accurate skin tones across the entire range of complexions with this release. So we're analyzing each image, we're detecting and categorizing skin tone, and then we are applying a really targeted correction based on those skin tone needs. So I do have a few examples to show you. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So I've included the original image, which is this first image here. And then I've also included the previous version of our AI skin tone accuracy, and then our current new version of AI skin tone accuracy. So for anyone that has tested this in the past or has used it in production, even from what we were doing before, this is a huge leap in image quality, but then also just being able to compare the original to our current correction is also really powerful as well. So to speak to this one, you can really see here, she is a little bit orange, especially on my screen. I know that sometimes on Zoom, things don't come across the exact way that we would like. So hopefully you're able to really see this, but too orange. Before, when we had our previous version, we unfortunately went a little too gray. So we took some of that vibrancy out of her skin tone. But now with our new version, we can keep that integrity. We can keep that natural, healthy, accurate skin tone with our automatic correction. And same with this amazing school portrait as well. So you can see here in the before photo, coming across to me as pretty flat. Definitely needs a little bit of help there. And before, we're adding that depth into his face. He looks a lot better, but now with our new AI skin tone accuracy, there's a world of difference. So he, again, just looks really healthy and natural. When you're taking school portraits, you definitely want the outcome of the children to look healthy, look vibrant, look like they actually do in real life. So that's what we're accomplishing here. And same with this guy as well. I think that this is a great example, again, of how in the past we've lost a little bit of that beautiful vibrancy and that true natural skin tone in his face. Goes a little bit gray, but now with our new skin tone accuracy, we can really keep that integrity of his true skin tone. Here it's a little orange, but we're now able to really hone in on that and just make sure that the outcome is super accurate. And then with this woman as well, another great example of how previously she's a little too orange in this original photo. She goes a little gray in our previous version, but then we're able to get that super accurate natural skin tone with the new version. And I'll just bounce back to this first slide here just so that we can see this full range of skin tones. So prior to this, we were pretty much detecting light versus dark skin tones, and now we can really hone in on that. The entire range of skin tones is covered here. Fast forward in my slides. So that's AI skin tone accuracy, and huge part of this release, really powerful. I'll talk about actual implementation and updating more towards the end of this, since I know that there are a few questions coming in, but we have all the steps that you need to make sure that you have the latest and greatest for AI skin tone accuracy. So the next thing that I wanted to touch on is our new school and sports AI preset model. So this helps ensure really targeted corrections made specifically for the school portrait industry. So this is our new scenes and presets in the new AI preset model. So just as a little bit of a refresher, Perfectly Clear reads the contents of your image and then categorizes it into one of these scenes to apply a targeted correction. So these are all of the presets and the scenes that are included in this new model. And why does this matter? So it's definitely more accurate. We can get specific with our when we get specific with our models, we're able to make them much more accurate in both categorization and corrections. This has also been tuned for you. So this came from a ton of customer feedback. We took feedback from all of our school portrait customers and partners and created this special AI preset model to meet your needs. So it works completely out of the box. It's ready for your photography, but of course it can be tuned and customized if you have specific parameters or needs that you need to have met. And then lastly, along with our Universal and Pro presets, this has all of the latest technology, including the new AI skin tone accuracy and AI white balance. So it's been completely built with all of this new tech, which is the perfect segue into AI white balance. So we certainly recognize the challenges that manual editors face when working with white balance to achieve precise colors. Varying lighting conditions can cause temperature shifts across the image, leading to inaccuracies and unwanted color casts. So with our automated AI white balance, we aim to significantly cut down your manual editing time while also guaranteeing accurate colors for these specific images. One thing that I do want to point out and just note is that this particular new technology, it's only been released for photos taken on dark backgrounds, gray screen, and green screen. So that means that in the school portrait AI preset group, that portraits with dark background preset, that's what this applies to. And then also in the Pro AI model, that this applies to the dark background preset in that as well. So again, the dark studio backgrounds, gray screen, and green screen. And I do have some examples here. I pulled these because I really liked them during my own testing. So the before photo, there's really no life in this photo. She is flat, she's washed out. This would never sell. If my mom saw my photo look like this when I was growing up in my school picture, she would never buy it. So the combination of AI white balance and our new AI skin tone accuracy truly brings this photo back to life. And then on the right here, I just added a little screenshot of the tool at work in Workbench so you can see what's actually being applied and chosen automatically. And if you look at this image, you see that those levels change. So if I go back and then go back here, different image, different levels, it's all completely automatic. So we truly are automating the white balance process for these types of images. And we also get a really similar result here. So it's a portrait that's looking natural, accurate, healthy. And so the last part of this release is our new version of Autocrop. So you pretty much just put your parameters in, and then you are able to get a consistent head size, eye lines, and gap between the top of the head and top of the photo. So this was created to just really save you a ton of time cropping portraits, and also to ensure that if you're working with any sort of yearbook, you get a consistent crop for yearbook creation. And we did put out a previous version of this, worked really well, but we're dedicated to innovation and iterating and listening to our customer feedback. So this is Autocrop 2.0. We've further improved the head gap, the top of the head to the top of the photo for larger heads. And then we've also enhanced the actual location and sizing. So now if there's any rotation in the head, for example, looking left, looking straight, looking right, we're still able to get that really nice, accurate crop. So I'm just going to stop my video for a second and then switch the screen that I'm sharing so I can give you a quick demo on Autocrop. And while I do this, I just want to remind you again that we do have the Q&A here. I see that a few questions have come in, but just want to remind you that after this demo and after I go through some of the just updating information for this new technology, we will be taking questions, or I will be taking questions. All right, So I'm ready to give you a demo now. I am in Workbench. This is our image quality and demo tool. So it's not meant for production. It's really just meant to be able to show you all this amazing new technology. First, I would love to point out that I'm on the new school and sports preset. I have my AI white balance here and my new AI skin tone accuracy here as well. So in order to do my auto crop, I'm going to click this little cropping widget. You start your crop off with any portrait in the job. So he's the first one here, so that's why I chose him. And then I just enable auto head cropping and I choose my aspect ratio. I usually do 4:5 because 8:10s are usually the most popular. And then I'm going to move this around. I can move it anywhere, but I really want his head to be centered and I want his eyes to be in this little area. And then I simply click apply all. And you can see down here, all of my little preview images changed. And then as I click through, you can see that we have cropped all of them. So it's a really consistent crop. If I go through them really quickly, you can see that all of the eyes are lined up in the same place. They also have the image correction applied. So you can see this is the before photo, this is after, and then just on the right here are all of the amazing, just really intelligent tools that are happening when they read this photo. So that's as easy as Autocrop. It is so simple, so easy to use, and it just makes things so much quicker. You don't have to spend all of that time manually cropping. You can literally load it in, set up your parameters, and then get this beautiful, consistent crop. Now I will go back to sharing this. And lastly, I did just want to touch on some of the updates for getting the latest technology before we move into that Q&A. So again, you can use that Q&A feature. Just want to remind you, since we will be getting to questions shortly, but here's what you need to know if you are a current customer and are wanting to get onto the latest and greatest. So this new technology is available for anyone that is a current subscriber, has a contract, and is not in any sort of legacy situation. So as long as you have this new AI, you're ready to go. So getting the latest for our SDK customers, first of all, I do suggest updating Workbench for the latest technology. This is where you can test it out, see it, use it. Just know that you will not be able to export presets with the new technology unless you have updated your SDK. So update Workbench, request an updated SDK from our team. And then if you have any sort of custom presets or anything like that that you've been using before, then we can help you to update those. So one thing to know is that the older presets, any sort of custom presets that have been created, they will not automatically be updated to get the latest AI skin tone accuracy, any white balance, anything like that. So that will be a bit of a manual process that we can help you with. If you are using out of the box presets, for example, our pro preset group, our universal preset group, or this new school and sports preset group, then those all have the latest and greatest in them. So there's no any manual process there for updating those. If you are on any of our desktop products, so any Quick Desk or Quick Server, really all you have to do, as long as you're on a current subscription, is just update for the latest. So out of the box presets will update automatically. So the Universal, Pro, and School and Sports group. And then again, if you have custom presets, we can help you with those. We can get them updated to have the latest technology in them. And then lastly, Web API and Cloud. These out of the box presets, again, they will update automatically. So if you are processing with the Universal preset group, for example, You don't have to touch anything. It will just automatically update. And then again, we can help you with any sort of updating custom presets or anything like that. So that's really the gist of it. We do have some FAQs on updating and exactly what you need to do to be able to get the latest and greatest technology. So we can definitely provide those to you. But I will turn my video back on and stop sharing so that we can hop into our Q&A. And again, if you have any questions, now is the time to answer them. I'll answer anything that I possibly can live. And then if I'm unable to answer, then I will just make sure that we get the correct answer to you afterward. And just bear with me for 1 second. I'm alone in this webinar today, so just gonna read through these questions and make sure that I can answer these for you. So great question. This is from Frank. You mentioned that one can look at the color corrections being automatically applied by AI in white balance in Workbench. We don't have Workbench, we have QuickDesk. Can we see these in QuickDesk as well? Yes, you can. Great question. So again, in that right hand side where you are able to see all of those corrections, you will be able to see them. One thing to note with that is the AI white balance corrections will only show up in that dark background preset in the pro group or in the school portrait group. So if it's not showing up and you're not on those presets, that's why. And then another great question, help me understand the meaning of AI in regard to perfectly clear software. I understand AI is used to determine and choose the right preset for the particular scene. But once the preset has been chosen, does AI do any of its work on specific images? Yes, it does. That's another great question. So there's a few different ways that we use AI. One of them is the AI preset selection, so being able to categorize the image and then seeing its needs. Other things that the AI does is it actually reads the contents of the image and then it's able to apply a targeted correction. So our white balance is a great example of that, where I was showing how on different photos it changes. So that's truly just based on the needs of the image, and we use an AI based algorithm to be able to determine that. And then we have a few other layers of that as well. And then let's see, it looks like there's some in the chat as well. Does it cost per image on Autocrop, or is it included in the subscription? I have QuickDesk. Yes, so Autocrop is an additional charge, and that is because it's new technology. It's on top of what we provide with QuickDesk. So color correction, just like our core image correction, retouching, and then our creative filters are all completely included with QuickDesk. Autocrop is an additional charge. It's usually based on a per image charge, but we can contact you after this and we can kind of come to an agreement that will work for all of us. And that goes for everyone on this call. If you want Autocrop, then that's awesome. We want you to test it. We can give you a free trial for that, walk you through it. But then we can talk about pricing and all of that as well. And I do have a question about volumes being uploaded per hour, just on all of our different ways to use us. So great question. It is a little bit different. So like for something like an SDK or an API, it can be a much larger volume than something like our desktop solution like QuickDesk. So really what happens here is when we are talking to any potential customer or anything like that, we will just walk through your workflow, walk through your dream workflow as well, and what you truly want from us and how we can assist you there. And then from there, we talk about the different implementations. So Some of them are really cut and dry. Like if you, for example, have a mobile app, of course, you're going to want our mobile SDK. But if you are a lab and you're doing a lower volume, then maybe something like a hot folder or a desktop solution will work rather than building in massive millions of images a year type volume for an SDK or an API. So everything runs really quickly. There is a little bit more load time for something like an API that has to go up to the cloud and then come back. But as far as implementation goes, it's really just based on your actual needs. And then another great question from Jay is, how well does AI skin tone differentiate subjects in group shots? Amazing question. And that can lead me into talking a little bit about our future roadmap. So right now, AI skin tone accuracy is really meant to hone in on individual shots, or I believe it's shots like 1 to 3 people. We are working on segmentation, so being able to say there are more than one person in this image and they all need to be segmented and all can have a different skin tone correction in that one group. So that's something that's coming. It's on the roadmap. It's hopefully coming very soon, since it certainly is a need. But thank you, Jay. I will definitely bring that feedback back to the team and just let them know that people are asking about it. And a great question from Ronald. So Ronald asked, with the API, does this require images being processed in the cloud, or can everything run locally? So we have both. You can either use our web API, which goes to the cloud, or we can set you up with a local solution where it's protected. Nothing's ever going to go to the cloud. So if you're looking for something a little bit more secure, you handle all of that data, then we do have an option for that as well. And a question from Rob, how in general is your software different than Radiant? That is another great question. So the Radiant software, it's meant for consumers, prosumers, low volume, whereas we are fully dedicated to our business solutions. So whether you want to implement us directly into your workflow or use one of the solutions that's really built for a higher volume, that's really where the difference comes in. We are also dedicated to creating technology around this. For example, our automatic cropping. That's really where that came in. It's a huge need in the school portrait and just portrait industry in general. So that's really where the difference comes in. Another question about Autocrop. So today we crop our images centralized. Can we use Autocrop in the SDK to automatically detect all faces in each image and crop it without losing any faces? So I would need to know a little bit more about your situation, which we can talk about offline. I'm going to say yes, just because as long as you set up that crop parameter correctly and have those faces centered, then it would in theory work. It is meant for portrait images. So if you're talking about anything outside portraits or like a studio portrait, then I'm not sure if it would be the use case for that. But we are just now building it into the SDK, and we can set parameters up with you in the SDK. So in theory, yes, but let's talk a little bit after this as well. And Frank, I do think you had another question too, but I think this is just a good conversation to have offline about just specific color correction and parameters and things like that. So we can definitely talk about that. All right, it looks like the questions are slowing down. If anyone else has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I will also put in my email here just in case something comes up afterwards. And yes, I will be sending out this recording, so everyone will get a copy of it as well. I'll just give one more minute to see if there are any more questions, but otherwise, I do think that this was a really eventful webinar. I do really appreciate everyone taking the time to come on here and be live with me. That is just always awesome when we can all come together and do that. So thank you so much. We do have one more question that just came in. We work with 4 poses in our school photo business. 3 of them are centered and 1 is off to the side to the left. With a crop tool, be able to detect the face and cut it without cutting off the face. So another great question. To verify my theory, we would have to test out some images. So if one of them is off to the side, then I do believe that when you set up that first cropping parameter, you would just want it to be a little bit off to the side. And then it should know in theory that that's where you want the face in the image. I would definitely have to verify that for you. So we can talk outside of this webinar and just make sure that we can test it, get that all going, and then see if this is a solution that will work for you. And if that is it, thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate it again. I will be sending out this recording, following up with anyone that had any questions or anything like that. But thank you so much. Bye.